turned and they showed repentance, God didn't destroy the city. There was a chance. In the book of Obadiah, God doesn't give any chance for repentance to the Edomites. None. And I want to be very clear because this is an important thing to think about. We talk so often in the New Testament about the grace of God, His mercy, His love. We cannot, as followers of Jesus, because Jesus knew, He was fully aware that God is a God of justice, of holiness, and we have to remember that. We have to have a fear of our God. Fear is a deep reverence and an understanding of who God is. And God is the only one who can judge because He's the only one that sees our heart. And it becomes evident that what He saw in the Edomites was so wrong, so out of order, that He's going to wipe them off the face of the earth. It's that simple. That's His judgment. All right? That's harsh, isn't it? Don't you think that's like you're sitting here and saying, wow, I don't know. That's not the God I know. Oh, yes, it is your God. That's a part of the God sometimes we forget about. That's a part of the God when we keep slipping back into sin and stuff like that. We have to be extremely careful. God's not to be played with. God's not to be taken for granted. His grace does save us, but it doesn't look away from our sin because He knows our heart. He knows our heart, and that's an important thing to realize. Obadiah said that in judgment that Yahweh, which is the Jewish term for God, would wipe out the house of Esau forever, and not even a remnant, not one person would remain. I want to read this. I want to read all 21 verses, and you can follow along. I am using a newer translation simply because to us it'll make more sense. Obadiah's message to Edom from God, the Master. We got the news straight from God by a special messenger sent out to the godless nations. These is talking about all the godless nations around, because God's going to use them to do the work on Edom. On your feet, prepare for battle. Get ready to make war on Edom. Listen to this, Edom. I'm turning you into a no-account runt of the godless nations, despised. You thought you were so great, perched high among the rocks, king of the mountain, thinking to yourself, nobody can get to me. Nobody can touch me. Think again. Even if, like an eagle, you hang out on a high cliff, even if you build your nest in the stars, I will bring you down. God's sure word. God says this to them. Direct. Judgment passed. You understand? It's a sense that we have to see God as I think that all Christians, all of us who realize the grace, but also realize that God demanded His Son to be put to death as a perfect sacrifice. That is our only way that we have hope. The only way. God stands on His holiness, His justice, and He loves us. But His holiness won't allow sin in, won't allow it. If thieves creep up on you, they'd rob you blind. Isn't that so? If they mug you on the street at night, they'd pick you clean. Isn't that so? Now remember, he's talking to the Edomites. They'll take Esau apart, piece by piece, emptying his purse and his pockets. Your old partners will drive you to the edge, and your old friends will lie to your face. Your old drinking buddies will stab you in the back. Your world will collapse, and you won't know what hit you. So don't be surprised. It's God's sure word. When I wipe out all the sages from Edom and rid the Esau mountains of its famous wise men, the great heroes will desert you, Teman. There'll be nobody left in Esau's mountains because of the murderous history compiled against your brother Jacob. You will be looked down on by everyone. You'll lose your place in history. On the day that you stood there and didn't do anything, strangers took your brother's army into exile. Godless foreigners invaded and pillaged Jerusalem. You stood there and watched. You were as bad as they were. You shouldn't have gloated over your brother when he was down and out. You shouldn't have laughed and joked at Judah's sons when they were face down in the mud. You shouldn't have talked so big when everything was so bad. You shouldn't have taken advantage of my people when their lives had fallen apart. You of all people should not have been amused by their trouble that wrecked the nation. You shouldn't have taken the shirt off their backs when they were knocked flat, defenseless. You shouldn't have stood waiting on the outskirts to cut off their retreat and traitorously turned in the helpless survivors who lost everything. God's judgment day is near for all the godless nations. All you have done, it will be done to you. What you did will boomerang back and hit your own head. Just as you partied on my holy mountain, all the godless nations will drink God's wrath. They'll drink and drink and drink, and they'll drink themselves to death. But not so on Mount Zion. There's respite there, a safe and holy place. The family of Jacob will take back their possessions from those who took from them. That's when the family of Jacob will catch fire and the family of Joseph become fierce flame, while the family of Esau will be the straw. Esau will go up in flames, nothing left of Esau but a pile of ashes, straw.